На політичному я би все-таки виділила той.
But on the political side, I would still highlight the fact that for the first time since Bucharest's decision in 2008, we have now actually shortened the path to NATO membership, meaning that we are now free from the need to fulfill the MAP, Membership Action Plan, which was previously a prerequisite. But of course, the ambition of the Vilnius summit was much greater. We wanted to be invited to join the alliance without any additional prerequisites. The issue of the invitation was considered, but with preconditions. But still, in general, I see that Vilnius actually freed us from the decision that was made in Bucharest in 2008. There is a clear understanding that Ukraine will be a NATO member, and this path will be shorter, because as I mentioned, there is no longer a requirement to fulfill the Membership Action Plan. On the defense side, I would highlight that despite the fact that the alliance itself did not provide with military assistance, only member states did, the positive thing is that together we are able to accumulate more than 550 million euros for various other projects, some of which have already been implemented. I will just mention the purchase of fuel for military equipment, first aid kits, winter clothing, generators at the time when attacks on critical infrastructure began. Among the latest projects that have been completed are anti-drone equipment and the purchase of turnstiles, for example, which are so important to us. In the area of interoperability, which is much talked about, I would also highlight as an achievement the fact that we have already started detailed work on the roadmap. So what we are talking about, in fact, as you all know, since the beginning of Russia's armed aggression and the supply of Western weapons, Ukrainian soldiers have been training abroad for various types of equipment. So the task of the roadmap is to ensure that we do this work systematically when Ukraine switches to NATO weapon standards and transfers them to our own use, and our fighters learn from this respectively. And at the end of the day, we would like to achieve the maximum interoperability with NATO standards that everyone is talking about.
And here's a logical question. There was the Vilnius summit, there will be the Washington summit. What are the plans for this summit? What are the goals?
Я зараз спочатку, мабуть, трошки.
Well, I'm going to explain the logic of the process a little. The fact is that, as you know, in NATO, all decisions are made by consensus, and in order to work properly on what the results of the Washington summit will be, one is actually working here with 31 countries, and our colleagues abroad are working accordingly, and the top political leadership of Ukraine is conducting high-level negotiations and consultations. So this is already the level of the President and Deputy Prime Minister of European Integration, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and others. So now we have done the first thing that I think is important. We have actually implemented the decisions of the Vilnius summit in 6 months. We launched the work of the Council, there is no longer a requirement for the MAP, and we adopted the annual national program for NATO-Ukraine cooperation, meaning that we have fulfilled everything that we have set out to do. And now we can actually work on setting strategic and tactical tasks for the Washington summit. I will not go into details about the vision we already have, which we have worked out here in the mission in Brussels, but we need to hold internal consultations to see what is realistic and what is not, to determine our priorities and then start working. I mean, I'm in favor of not focusing too much on the public part at this stage, and we still have 7 months until the summit is held. We should do our diplomatic behind-the-scenes work. It is for us to form our vision, to work on it first with our advocates, as I call them, meaning the countries that support us strongly, and then we will be able to go to a wider level of 31 countries and convince those who for various reasons are quite skeptical about deepening Ukraine's political relations with NATO.